Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite white colonizing Zionist prince coming to you live from the United States of America. We're looking at a clip today about whether Israeli settlements are an hindrance to peace. I'm Tal the Traveling Clat, and let's take a look.
Is Israel's policy of building civilian communities in the area known as the West Bank the reason there is no permanent peace between Israel and the Palestinians?
Alan Dershowitz.
The answer to that question, despite all the sound and fury regarding the so-called settlement issue, is no. The Israeli settlements in the West Bank are not the major barrier to a peace agreement. A little historical context will make this clear. For 2 decades, before June of 1967, the West Bank, including much of Jerusalem, was controlled by Jordan. During that time, a time when Israel did not have a single settlement, there were numerous Palestinian terror attacks against the nation-state of the Jewish people. In other words, Palestinians committed terror attacks against Israel when there were no settlements. And they committed terror attacks against Israel when there were settlements. If Israel were to pull out of every single settlement in the West Bank tomorrow, it's unlikely that anything much would change. In fact, if history is any indicator, Israel could be worse off. In 2005, Israel abandoned every single community, every house, every farm, every structure it had built in the Gaza Strip. How did the Palestinians of Gaza react? They launched thousands of rockets and numerous other terror attacks against the nation-state of the Jewish people. The attacks continue to this very day. And every year, the range of these rockets get longer and their payloads more lethal. Only a very sophisticated Israeli anti-missile defense keeps the country secure. Can you blame Israel for not wanting to risk a two-front rocket war? But Israel has no right to be in the West Bank at all, many say. So permit me, a law professor at Harvard, to say that on the basis of international law, this position is incorrect. Military occupations are clearly permitted under international law following an aggressive attack by a neighboring state. Jordan, Israel's neighbor to the east, attacked Israel in 1967, despite Israel's repeated efforts to keep Jordan out of the Six-Day War. In defending itself against Jordan, Israel captured the West Bank and the eastern part of Jerusalem. Under international law, until a meaningful peace is achieved and all terrorism against it ceases, Israel has every right to retain military control over this area.
Absolutely.
Since no peace treaty has been reached and the terrorism continues with new attacks threatened almost daily, Israel is under no legal obligation to leave. Given the danger that Israel would be putting itself in if it did leave the West Bank, exposing its major cities and international airport to rocket attacks, it would be irresponsible to do so, which is why Israel is still there. Nevertheless, I fully acknowledge that a military occupation is significantly different, both as a matter of law and politics, from building civilian settlements, even in a territory that is legitimately subject to a military occupation. That's why I have long opposed the building of settlements in the West Bank. I believe it has caused resentment and has given enemies of Israel an excuse to attack the legitimacy of the occupation in general. It is also why I have always supported Israel's efforts to exchange land for peace, as it has done on multiple occasions over the last few decades. So while the settlements may have contributed to the difficulty of making peace, it has not been the major barrier that Israel's enemies claim it to be. It is not the reason there has been no peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians.
Sorry, Alan Dershowitz is absolutely wrong about this, and we should not be giving up land for peace.
The reason has always been and remains the unwillingness of Palestinian leaders, and according to Palestinian polls, much of the Palestinian population, to recognize Israel's right to exist as the nation-state of the Jewish people. Until and unless the Palestinian leadership and the Palestinian people acknowledge that the state of Israel has the right to be free from military assault, from terrorism, from rocket attacks, and from diplomatic warfare, there will be no resolution to the Middle East dispute. If these conditions, which must be the basis of any two-state solution, meaning a nation-state for the Jewish people and a Palestinian state, are met, the occupation will end, the settlement issue will be resolved, and the blessings of a mutual peace will finally be achieved.
No.
I'm Alan Dershowitz, professor of law at Harvard University for Prager University.
And you're wrong. Look, I can respect certain elements of what Alan Dershowitz says, but he's wrong. Two-state solution will not get us to a point of peace. Giving up land will not get us to a point of the peace. And settlements are not a hindrance to peace whatsoever. Tell me, where is the real apartheid, okay? If in Jewish settlements in the West Bank and Judea and Samaria, there are Arabs who live there and have businesses there. There are Arab Palestinians who study in universities there. In Israel, you have 2 million Arab citizens living inside of the country in peace and prosperity with full equal rights. Why is there not a single Jew living in any Arab city in the West Bank? Not one. If it's only about Israeli settlements and this whole Israeli colonizer, Israeli occupiers, why are there no Jews living anywhere in the West Bank in a Palestinian settlement? Why? Because they would be murdered, not by the government of Palestine, not by the PA, by Palestinian people. The hindrance to peace in this region is a fucked up ideology at the hands of Palestinian Islamic supremacists. Palestinianism is a branch of Islamism/Arabism. Arabism is a colonial concept. It is a colonial movement that came from the Arabian Peninsula and conquered the Middle East and North Africa. It carries on till this day. All of us ethnic minorities in this region suffer under it. Whether you're a Mizrahi Jew or an Ashkenazi Jew, or if you're a Copt, or if you're a Mandean, or if you're an Assyrian, or if you're a Kurd, all of us suffer. We all suffer at the hands of Pan-Arabism. We need to end the ideology of Pan-Arabism to live in peace. Giving up land like the Sinai or the West Bank or parts of Syria now, of the Golan Heights, of anywhere else for peace does not give you peace. Not in the long term, because what? You think you have peace in Egypt? Amazing. We had peace in Egypt for 50 years. Who funded October 7th? Who allowed October 7th to happen? Who facilitated the weaponry to come in from Egypt into Gaza? Egypt. Egypt attacked us on October 7th. We just don't talk about it. Egypt attacked us on October 7th. Was it worth it? No. And look at Jordan. We didn't give up any land for peace. We took that land. We occupied that shit. It's ours now. Okay, we're in control of it, as we should be, because Jordan doesn't have any right to that land of the West Bank, of Judea and Samaria. And look what they did on the October 7th war, since the October 7th war. They've come and defended us with their military planes when Iran attacked us. They protected us and were shooting rockets in the sky. That's peace. That's real peace. I'm not saying we need to conquer the Sinai from Egypt. I'm not saying that. I'm not sitting here regretting that we have peace with Egypt. I'm just saying, look at the peace we have with Egypt and look at the peace we have with Jordan. Look at the peace we have with Syria. It's different than the peace we have with Egypt. Egypt facilitated an attack on us on October 7th. This land for peace shit, it's not realistic. We shouldn't do it. Yishai Fleischer coins this term. I'm sure there's other people as well, but I've watched a lot of Yishai Fleischer's content, and I really appreciate this point from him specifically about not giving any land up for peace anymore. Moving forward, Israel needs to be unapologetic. It is our land. Anything we conquer moving forward is ours. If you keep fucking up managing your own land and you keep attacking us from it and using your land for terrorism, it's ours if we take it. We don't give it back. It's a one and done deal. Same should be in Gaza. I love you guys a long time, and I'll see you in the next one. Alan Dershowitz, much respect, but I don't agree with almost anything you said here. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.